Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the Penboy Roy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Pineider Avatar UR Ultra Resin Fountain Pen. I've gone over the history of the Pineider brand in the past. If you want more detailed information, check out my previous Pineider pen reviews. The links are in the script below. As for the Avatar UR, our good friend Dante Del Vecchio, former owner of Visconti and now designated pen expert at Pineider, has come up with a new material. New and innovative materials are a common element when it comes to Dante designing pens. We have seen in the past and present pens made from basaltic lava, like the Visconti Homo sapien, and powdered marbled resins in the more recent Pineider La Grande Bellezza gemstone collection. This year, Dante created a new resin mixture to once again innovate the fountain pen. A rather impressive feat considering there are only so many ways that one can innovate a pen. Yet he did so with the Avatar UR, the UR being an acronym for ultra resin. Why is it called ultra resin? Well, because the properties that make up this resin make it resistant to impacts, scratches, and heat. Torture tests have been performed on these pens with the results yielding positive confirmation of the claims made by Dante and Pineider regarding the durability. Additionally, the Avatar UR pens are handmade in such a way to ensure secure, uncompromising construction without using any adhesive. These pens are available in 6 different colors. They are teal, which they call abalone green, devil red for red, black, which they call graphene, Neptune blue for blue, and a grayish brown black called Riace bronze. Oh yeah. And pink, which they of course called angel skin. I mean, a little creepy. They could have named it anything else. And it's disturbing if you consider Dante's track record being consistent with pens being named based on the actual materials used in the pens. I don't know. Am I supposed to think when looking at the pink UR that this is the color of an angel's skin? Is the skin still attached to the angel? Or did someone skin the angel? Where did they get the angel? And why would they do that if they did find one? I don't know. But it sure does raise some pretty morbid questions, doesn't it? And as long as we're on the subject of skin, why not Smurf skin for the blue and expand the appeal of pens to psychos as well? Kind of a lost opportunity. Anyway, that's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone. Those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad, depending on you. The nib is a Bach No. 6 size stainless steel nib with impressed 3D block lettering mirrored on the shoulders of the tines, reading Pineider. It's decorated with ribbon-type designs, with the center showing an M to indicate this is a medium. This nib does not have a breather hole. The feed is our familiar plastic feed found on pens that use Bach nib units. The nib and feed are friction fit into an unscrewable nib unit housing. The nib unit screws into the lopsided hourglass-shaped grip that is metal in construction. The threads on the grip are seamless with the grip and screw into the resin threads of the barrel. Next is the magnet that's friction fit into the barrel and responsible for the magnetic capping of the pen. After the magnet, we have the body made of the proprietary ultra resin, showing off its shimmer, shine, polish, and swirls of color, tapering to the end finial. The end finial is metal with a rounded bullet shape and acts as structural reinforcement to the body in the event of drops or sudden impacts. The cap is the same ultra resin used in the body, however, unlike the body, it is not tapered. The top of the cap is rounded and split down the middle by the clip assembly. The clip is spring-loaded and maintains the same severed lizard tail look as the original version of the Avatar and is supposed to be a feather. The clip is locked in place with an exposed hinge that is visible from both sides of the cap. The front of the center band has 3D lettering of the brand name over hash lines, while the sides and rear of the band has a skyline silhouette of Florence, Italy. The pen box is a departure from any of the previous Pineider pen boxes. Instead of the angled doorstop shaped box, we now have a not weird box that is more on the lines of a standard shoebox style. Gone is the leather type material, and in its place is cardboard wrapped in a thick textured green paper. The interior is off-white, and once opened, you are presented with your pen in a bow tie shaped foam cutout, topped with a decorated cardboard cutout. The top of the cardboard cutout reads, "Per chi scrive il futuro," meaning, for those who write the future. And on the bottom, we have the brand name, logo, and the date that the brand was established. The pen comes with a Pineider branded converter pre-installed, as well as filling instructions, and an information foldout on ultra resin and the warranty, which apparently nobody bothered to proofread. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Moving on to the good. Those elements about the pen that are good. This pen writes as well as any Bach nib is expected to write. I have two of these, one for review and the other to serve in a torture test. Both pens felt the same in terms of wetness, smoothness, and ink flow. Both had no issues regarding hard starts, but only after washing both of them out. Out of the box, they both had inconsistent smoothness on paper when writing, and hard started every time the nib was lifted from the paper. However, after washing them out, both have been spot on. So, if you get one of these, be sure to wash it thoroughly before inking it up, so you don't have that horrible sinking feeling when you realize that your new pen is a lemon. That's the worst. Like in the case of the Nettuno 1911 that I previously reviewed, these Bach steel nibs offer a good amount of line variation for a steel nib. I don't think that it should be regularly used this way, but it's cool to know that in a line variation emergency where you just have to show off your writing skills to that stupid coworker that brags about how their 10-cent ballpoint pen also writes, it will come through for you. The step in the barrel where the magnet is located is rounded at the edges, making contact with the fingers comfortable and not at all distracting. The grip, although slippery and narrow at the thinnest part, is comfortable, being that the flare prevents your fingers from sliding any further towards the nib and feed. I myself don't prefer thinner grips, but in the case of this pen, I can exonerate how thin the grip is due to the flare. The balance of the pen posted is on point, even though there is a solid metal end finial. The length and weight is perfect, never feeling back-weighted or offset due to the cap being posted. When the pen is posted, it is also long enough that it never felt lacking. The balance unposted is nearly unchanged, with the only real difference being in the absence of the center band to the body step making contact with the crook of your hand. The cap posts firmly and seats securely on the back. Let's touch on the design. I'm finding more and more these days that I really appreciate and enjoy a pen way more when it has a clip that is not generic and repeated. I know that this is the same clip as the previous Avatar, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is that when a clip is a custom design, it makes a pen identifiable. The pen has more identity and character. For example, let's take the La Grande Bellezza series. There have been 4 iterations released to date, all with significant changes in overall design, such as the original launched pen used new old stock gold vintage nibs and was a traditional acrylic turned pen. The next release, the Gemstone collection, was changed completely, with the material being made of powdered marble, the redesigned grip, the redesigned Hyperflex nib, and the redesigned center band. After the Gemstone series came the Arco series, where there are even more evolutionary changes. We have the newly formulated acrylic designed to look like celluloid, the redesigned grip to accommodate the ink window, the integration of a piston filler, and again, a redesigned extended center band. Last, the mystery filler, the biggest change being the actual filling mechanism that was designed with an integrated click button safety at the piston knob, while the entire body is a demonstrator so you can see the function of the piston mechanism, much like you could see in an automatic watch. So over the course of the 4 launches, almost every aspect about the pen's appearance was modified. So what's my point? My point is that with all the changes to the design of each of the pen's appearance, the element that makes every one of them uniquely and unmistakably identifiable as a La Grande Bellezza, no matter how different, is the clip. And I think that's cool. Moving on, I also like that the magnetic cap in the UR is improved as opposed to the original release. This cap is very strong, and unless you're Wonder Woman whipping it like the lasso of truth, there is very little chance of the cap flying off. Then there's the construction. It is super solid and sturdy and doesn't use any adhesive. I find this to be a good thing since over time varying temperatures, moisture, impacts, and whatnot won't weaken any adhesive or cause any glued parts like center bands to fall off. And although it's not super common, it happens enough with all kinds of pens from all different brands that a glueless design like the Avatar UR is a welcomed element that adds a feeling of security regarding its longevity. But I was worried about temperature and how cold and heat causes metals and plastics to contract and expand at different rates, thus possibly resulting in the fit changing and parts possibly falling off if the assembly is nothing more than tight friction fitting. So I asked Dante, how is it that the design makes for the parts to stay on so securely? And how is it that the parts are only able to go on in one direction and not able to come back off in the direction it came? His answer, quote unquote, I don't know. And then a wink emoji. So he wouldn't tell me, because it's a proprietary secret, and I can respect that. But I'm left to speculate that there has to be some sort of opposing treads in the metal or resins angled to allow the pens to move in one direction, but restrict movement in the reverse direction, combined with the tight measurements reinforcing it all. I don't know. I could be wrong, but the pen sure is sturdy. And of course, I have to talk about the resin. I have been using this pen firmly posted, and I did so intentionally to see if there would be any scratching around the end of the pen caused by the magnet assembly and the cap rubbing against the resin. After using this pen for several weeks and capping it excessively and posting it excessively, I am happy to report that super close and magnified examination revealed negative results. There wasn't even a hint of a hairline scratch caused by the cap magnet posting against the body of the pen. So, as far as scratch resistance goes, it is more resistant to scratches than stainless steel, acrylic, and of course, standard injection molded resins. Speaking of the injection molded resin, the resin used in the pen is something else. Yes, it is injection molded, but it doesn't feel injection molded in the hand. It feels very hard and glossy. It's very shiny and glass-like. Aesthetically, it's gorgeous. It looks nothing like any injection molded material I've ever seen. It's not at all translucent. Holding it up to light doesn't allow you to see through it at all. Yet, at the same time, it has a level of depth to it. It has varying color swirls in the different layers. This is a quality that makes acrylics so desirable in pens, and acrylics are typically described in the same way I'm describing the avatar you are. But the weird thing is, it doesn't look acrylic either, but qualifies for the same manner of description. That could be because I'm dumb and don't have the vocabulary to describe it, or it could be because it's just that good. I got good words. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. This pen has an MSRP of $158. At that price, this is a killer deal. But retailers online in the US offer it for even less, bringing the price down to $126.95. That's $127 for a Dante designed pen. To me, that's like getting a new redesigned iPad Pro for the price of a Barnes & Noble Nook. I could harp on the fact that this is an entry-level pen and didn't include an ink cartridge, but I'm not going to. And I'm even okay with the fact that we don't have the included paper and envelope samples like we did in the past. That stuff isn't cheap, and I'm certainly happy with the price of $127 without the included stuff that would add to the overall cost. This avatar is certainly an upgrade from the first series of acrylic avatars, however, a complete downgrade when it comes to cost. I like it. So regarding the bad, nothing. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. The overall quality of this pen is superb. It's solid and well designed. One could expect nothing less from Anthony Hopkins. Dante Del Vecchio. However, being that I nitpick, upon close inspection, I did discover a few minor things that plagues the pen. The first thing is not something that we haven't seen before. That's in the wear and tear that occurs on the grip over the span of a few days of capping and uncapping it. The thickest part of the grip will develop scratches from the magnet assembly as it glances against it when capping and uncapping. Unless you're a champion at the game of operation and are able to pull out all the little bones and organs without ever touching the sides and activating the buzzer, the magnet assembly in the cap glancing or touching the thick part of the grip is unavoidable. It doesn't destroy the look, and it's subtle, but at the same time, it's visible. This is an element that seems to have plagued Pineider pens from day one. While there have been measures to ameliorate this issue, such as adding knurling to the rim of the La Grande Bellezza and redesigning the acrylic avatar's grip to have a dramatic hourglass tapered grip, It seems that the design of this pen makes for these scratches developing unavoidable without compromising the design elements that are new and innovative, such as the glueless assembly and the stronger magnetic capping. The last ugly element worth mentioning is when the pen is capped. Once the pen is capped, and although the magnet is one of the strongest magnet caps that Pineider has released to date, the cap spins rather easily and rattles ever so slightly, producing an audible jingling noise. Now, there is no risk of the cap flinging off since the magnetic connection is so strong, but it would be easy for someone to think that the movement is an indication of a loose cap or even a weak magnetic connection and could cause concern, even though those concerns will be and are unfounded. So be advised, the spinning and slight rattling is not because of a loose, unsecured cap. Rather, the cap and assembly that traps the magnet in the cap are what actually is rotating and jiggling, while the actual magnet is securing everything to the body and the magnet around the body. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Pineider Avatar UR fountain pen? I love this pen, and it's certainly worthy of savage status. And despite any of the gripes I had in the ugly, pull the trigger on this pen. If you're in the market for a $100 or less entry-level pen, then cut the soda, beer, and cigarettes for a few days, if not forever, and spring for this pen instead. There is nothing else like it, and could have easily cost more than it does with its new proprietary resin. Pineider, however, decided not to be greedy and made this pen accessible to a broader spectrum of people infected with the fountain pen virus. For that, I commend them. That was my review on the Pineider Avatar UR fountain pen. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.